In New Mexico, Governor Bill Richardson served as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Under President Clinton, he's made 5 trips to North Korea during his diplomatic career. Governor, good to see you. Good morning.
Thank you, Matt.
Let's start with this place where Andrea just left off, these one-on-one talks. This is what Kim Jong-il wants. It's one of the reasons he conducted this test. You were an advocate of one-on-one talks during your time in the Clinton administration. Would you, though, agree that at this point that would send exactly the wrong message to North Korea?
No, I would disagree with that. I would first proceed with sanctions at the United Nations to show multilateral support for our efforts to isolate North Korea. But then I would engage directly in face-to-face talks. When you have face-to-face talks, that's when you deliver your toughest message. Secondly, if there's going to be a deal here, it can only be face-to-face talks where you say to the North Koreans, in exchange for you not being attacked by the U.S. and the 6-party nations.
Yeah, but Governor,
you've got to dismantle your nuclear weapon.
This country, this dictator has just done something in completely opposed to the international community, and you go to him now and give him what he wants, even if you apply sanctions first?
You're not giving him anything by talking directly. The fact is we refuse to talk to Syria, we refuse to talk to Iran. Our obsession with Iraq has caused us not to pay attention to what I believe is a comprehensive policy on North Korea. If you talk to him directly, Matt, you can say to him, look, if you do this again, there's going to be grave consequences.
Why can't we say that through the United Nations and through other countries?
Well, because that hasn't worked. The point is, our policy today has not worked. They tested a missile, now an underground test. What makes sense right now is, I believe the Bush administration is heading in the right direction. Proceed with the United Nations for sanctions. Get the Chinese to finally put pressure on the North Koreans. They control a lot of the food and fuel that goes in there. And thirdly, direct talks, direct negotiation. You can deliver the toughest message that way. You can set up a framework for a deal, but if not talking to them, they're going to continue acting irresponsibly. They're going to continue taking the steps they have, making these threats. The fact is, Matt, they have maybe 6 nuclear weapons. They have 1.5 million troops. They threaten 37,000 American troops on the DMZ.
Right.
They shoot missiles at South Korea.
Let me interrupt for a second. You mentioned China. Do you think that Kim Jong-il may have overplayed his hand? I mean, China gives them an awful lot of economic support. May he have crossed a line in terms of China right now?
I believe the North Koreans may have crossed the line. And so far, China has not done anything to put pressure on North Korea. They're afraid of a mass exodus of refugees into China. So finally, I believe that China is now going to put pressure on North Korea. That may be the unknown factor that has not existed. But also, you need some sanctions at the United Nations on military technology, on their financial transactions. Something that no one has been reporting is that we've already frozen a lot of the assets of the North Koreans in Macau, which go directly to Kim Jong-il and his leadership. I think that has significantly irritated them. When I was there a year ago, they mentioned that to me, and they said, look, you want to have a deal with us, but you're squeezing us. My point is that there's now an opportunity for framework of overall negotiations. Because the last thing we want, Matt, is for them to sell their nuclear technology. That's worse than detonating this very small weapon. You don't want them to sell it to Iran and other nations. Real
quickly, if you will, the Kim Jong-il in the media in this country is often portrayed as a madman, to put it bluntly, as a nut. What's the reality?
Well, the reality is he's smart as a fox. He's unpredictable. He's isolated. He is desperate for attention. He is also, I would say, close to being paranoid. But he has nuclear weapons. And so you got to deal with him. The best way, in my judgment, is directly negotiating, dialoguing, not giving anything, delivering a tough message, but setting your own red lines directly. We've been outsourcing our diplomacy, and that hasn't worked.
Governor Bill Richardson of New Mexico. Governor, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.